I'm glad you're here with me. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 chilling, true Halloween stories. Real events that turned my favorite night of the year into a nightmare. Halloween, when I feel the line between my world and the unknown grow thin. I always turn off the lights, put on my headphones, and start to question every shadow and every knock on my door. These stories have stuck with me long after the night ended. I listen closely. Special sound effects always bring the horror to life for me. I lock my doors. My story is about to begin. My story takes place in a quiet Ohio town in the late 1990s, where Halloween was more than just a holiday. It was a cherished tradition. Every year I watched as families went all out, stringing orange lights across porches, carving jack-o'-lanterns with toothy grins, and filling the air with the sweet scent of autumn leaves and anticipation. The streets would come alive with laughter, the rustle of costumes, and the echo of trick or treat drifting through the crisp night air. I was in my late 20s then, and I truly loved Halloween. I spent hours decorating my porch with cobwebs, flickering candles, and grinning pumpkins, eager to see the delight on children's faces as they came to my door. For me, handing out candy wasn't just a duty. It was the highlight of my year, a way to connect with my community and relive a bit of childhood magic. As the night wound down and the crowds thinned, I was about to turn off my porch light when I noticed a lone figure approaching. It was a small child, dressed in a faded handmade clown costume that looked decades old. The costume hung loosely, and the child's face was painted with a sad, smeared smile. In one hand, the child clutched a tattered cloth sack, dragging it along the ground. I greeted the child warmly, but the little clown just stared up at me, silent and unmoving. Its eyes were dark, almost hollow, and the painted smile seemed to droop even further in the porch light. When I dropped a handful of candy into the sack, the child's hand brushed mine, and it was ice cold, sending a chill up my spine that lingered long after the child turned away. Without a word, the child turned and walked slowly down the dark street, disappearing into the shadows. I stood frozen, my heart pounding, unable to shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. That night I barely slept, replaying the encounter over and over in my mind. The next morning, still unsettled, I told my neighbor, Mrs. Gable, about the strange trick-or-treater. I described the costume, the silence, and the icy touch. Mrs. Gable's face went pale as she listened. She hesitated, then told me a story she'd heard as a child. The legend of Billy, a little boy who had vanished without a trace decades ago on Halloween night. Billy had been last seen wearing a homemade clown costume, carrying a cloth sack just like the one I described. Some said he'd gotten lost. Others whispered about something darker, but no one ever found him. Ever since that fateful night, Mrs. Gable explained, people in the neighborhood had reported seeing a ghostly child in a clown costume wandering the streets every Halloween. He never spoke, never smiled, just drifted from house to house, as if searching for something, or someone he'd lost. The legend carried a warning. If you gave the phantom child candy, you weren't just being kind. You were inviting his restless spirit into your home, giving him permission to linger. That night, as I tried to convince myself it was just a story, I heard a child's giggle echoing from upstairs. The sound was faint, but unmistakable. Over the years, every October, I'd noticed strange things, cold spots in the hallway, the feeling of being watched, and, most unsettling of all, smudges on the walls that looked like the outline of a painted face, just at a child's height. I never saw the little clown again, but I always sensed his presence. On Halloween nights, I'd catch glimpses of a shadowy figure in the corner of my eye, or hear the faint rustle of a sack dragging across the floor. The decorations on my porch would sometimes be rearranged, as if by unseen hands. Sometimes the scariest visitors are the ones who never truly leave. They linger in the quiet moments, in the cold drafts, in the laughter that shouldn't be there. So on Halloween, as I open my door to costumed children, I'm always careful who I welcome. Not every trick-or-treater is what they seem, and some may be searching for more than just candy. Some spirits are just looking for a way back in, a way to feel remembered, to be part of the world they left behind. And, sometimes, all it takes is a single piece of candy, dropped into the wrong hands, to open a door that should have stayed closed. Would you have given him any? Or would you have turned off your light and hoped the phantom passed you by? My story takes you deep into the heart of rural Iowa on a chilly Halloween night back in 2012. Three of my closest friends and I, desperate for a thrill and a break from our small-town boredom, decided to test our courage in the infamous Whispering Cornfield, a place wrapped in local legend and fear. The legend went that decades ago, a mad farmer's family vanished without a trace. Some said the farmer lost his mind, others whispered that something far darker claimed them. Every Halloween, locals claimed to hear the lost family's whispers drifting through the corn, as if their spirits were forever trapped, searching for a way out. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we entered the cornfield, our laughter barely masking our nerves. The tall stalks quickly closed in around us, swallowing us in a maze of darkness and an eerie, unnatural silence that pressed in from all sides. It wasn't long before the silence broke. Faint whispers began to rise, soft and rhythmic, weaving through the corn like a chilling breeze. I couldn't make out the words, but the sound was undeniably real. Far too real to be just the wind. Disoriented and unnerved, we stumbled deeper into the field until we came upon a clearing at the center. There, illuminated by the flickering light of an old lantern, stood a scarecrow. Its face was crudely drawn in charcoal, twisted into a permanent scream that seemed to echo my own growing fear. Suddenly, the scarecrow's head turned with a slow, unnatural creak. Its twig arm extended, pointing directly at us. From behind the scarecrow, a guttural, inhuman voice growled a single command. "Get out!" For a moment, terror rooted me to the spot, then panic took over. We broke into a desperate run, crashing blindly through the corn, stalks whipping at my face and arms. Behind us, the sense of pure malevolence seemed to chase us, growing stronger with every step. We finally burst out of the field, scratched, breathless, and visibly shaken. We piled into my truck, hearts pounding, none of us able to speak. That night, and for many nights after, none of us dared to talk about what we had seen or heard. But the memory lingered. I was haunted by the image of the scarecrow's moving head, the echo of that guttural warning, and the whispers that seemed to follow me into my dreams. Nightmares became common, and the fear never truly left. Some places, I realized, are haunted not by traditional ghosts, but by the memory of evil deeds and the darkness that lingers long after. The Whispering Cornfield is one of those places, a patch of land where the past refuses to rest. Even now, I avoid the field after dark. Locals say the whispers return every Halloween, and that the scarecrow still stands at the center, waiting for anyone foolish enough to enter. If you ever find yourself in the Whispering Cornfield and hear those whispers, don't go searching for their source. Some mysteries are better left unsolved, and some warnings are meant to be heeded. If something deep inside you tells you to leave, listen to that instinct. It might be the only thing standing between you and something you can't explain or escape. Not every warning is meant to be ignored. Sometimes, it's the only chance you'll get to walk away from the darkness. Remember, in places like the Whispering Cornfield, your only chance might be to run and never look back. My story takes place at a college Halloween party in Northern California. Back in 2018, the house was alive with laughter, music, and the energy of dozens of students in elaborate costumes. Orange lights flickered, cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and the air was thick with the scent of pumpkin and cider. It was the kind of night where anything felt possible, where the line between reality and imagination seemed to blur. Amid the chaos, I noticed something, or rather someone, strange. In a shadowy corner, a woman stood alone, dressed in a vintage wedding gown, her face completely hidden by a delicate, old-fashioned veil. She didn't mingle, didn't dance, didn't even seem to move. Her presence was so out of place, so still, that it sent a chill down my spine. Curious and a little unnerved, I approached her. When I greeted her, she barely lifted her head. In a voice so soft it was almost a sigh, she whispered, "I used to live here. This was my room. We were so happy." Her words hung in the air, heavy with longing and sorrow, as if she were speaking from another time. The sadness in her voice was chilling, and the way she seemed to fade into the shadows made my skin crawl. I felt an overwhelming sense of loss radiating from her, as if she carried the weight of a broken heart that could never heal. I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself it was just a guest with a flair for the dramatic. But as the night wore on, I noticed she never left her corner. She didn't speak to anyone else, didn't even seem to notice the party swirling around her. It was as if she existed in a world apart from everyone else. Puzzled, I asked my friends if they'd seen the mysterious woman in the wedding dress. Each one shook their head, confused. No one else had noticed her. Some even laughed, thinking I was playing a Halloween prank. Later that night, after the last guest had left and the house was quiet, I began cleaning up. As I picked up empty cups near the corner where the woman had stood, I noticed a loose flap of faded wallpaper. Something compelled me to peel it back, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and curiosity. Behind the wallpaper, I found a yellowed newspaper clipping, brittle with age. The headline read, "Halloween Tragedy, Young Bride Found Dead in Home." The words sent a shiver down my spine. The article told a heartbreaking story. In 1928, a young bride had been abandoned by her husband on their wedding night. Overcome with grief, she took her own life in that very room, on Halloween night. The tragedy had haunted the house ever since, whispered about in old legends but never truly believed. Suddenly everything made sense. I realized I hadn't met a party guest at all. I'd spoken to a ghost, a woman doomed to relive her sorrow every year on the anniversary of her death. The weight of her sadness, the way she seemed to exist outside of time, all pointed to a spirit trapped by heartbreak. As I stood frozen in the empty room, a cold draft swept through, making the curtains flutter and the candles flicker. The temperature dropped, and I felt the unmistakable presence of something, or someone, standing right behind me. Then, in the darkness, I heard her voice again, closer this time, whispering a single heartbroken word, "Why?" The sound was so mournful, so filled with pain, that it echoed in my mind long after it faded. Overcome with terror, I bolted from the house, leaving the ghostly bride alone with her memories and her endless question. I didn't look back, afraid of what I might see if I did. Some guests, it seems, never truly leave the party. Some heartbreaks echo through the years, refusing to fade, haunting the places where happiness once lived. On Halloween, the veil between past and present grows thin. The past can return, if only for a moment, reminding us that some stories are never truly over. Would I have stayed to listen to her story, to offer comfort to a soul lost in time? Or was I always destined to run, just like everyone else? On nights like these, when the shadows grow long and the past comes calling, I still ask myself, would I have run, or would I have stayed? That's the end of my Halloween journey. 3 true stories where I witnessed the line between worlds vanish, the phantom child, the haunted field, the sorrowful bride. Each one reminded me that Halloween's darkness hides more than just costumes. If you have your own story, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Thank you for watching and for subscribing. Stay safe, and I hope you're careful about who or what you open your door to this Halloween. Happy Halloween.